Hello friends, myself Professor Prashant Mahajan, working as an assistant professor at AISSMS Institute of Information Technology Pune. So today we are going to start a new unit, that is water technology. So in that unit we are going to see introduction, then sources of water, impurities in the water, and causes of hardness. So let's start the unit. So this is the syllabus for unit 1. So what we are going to see, that is given in that. So impurities in water, hardness of water, then EDTA method for hardness determination, then alkalinity of water, numerical based on EDTA method and alkalinity. Then next, ill effects of hard water in boiler, then boiler feed water treatment, that are external treatment. And last, we are going to see reverse osmosis and electrodialysis. So these are some books to be referred. First, Engineering Chemistry by O.P. Palana. Second, Engineering Chemistry by Jain and Jain. Third, Engineering Chemistry by Ville India Private Limited. Fourth, a textbook of Engineering Chemistry by S.S. Dara and Umri. So these are the books to be referred for engineering chemistry syllabus. Then what is the importance of water in engineering? So as we know, water is used for drinking purpose, but that is up to limited extent. So water, the biggest use of water, it is in the steam generation. So next use is coolant in power plants and chemical plants. Third one, production of steel, rayon, paper, atomic energy, textile and chemical industry, in air conditioning, in firefighting, in building and other concrete constructions. So water is used everywhere. There is not a single industry which can sustain without water. So that is the importance of water in the engineering. So this is the water composition on earth. You can see the fourth-fifth part of the earth, it is covered with the water. Means what? 80% of the earth surface, it is covered with the water. That's why it is called as blue planet. So this is given 71 and 29. Actually it is 80 and 20. If we consider this 80 as 100%, then we are going to consider only water part. So this is all water. So this is all water. In that 100% of that water, 97% of water, it is in the form of oceans. So which is too saline to drink. Then 3% is remaining as fresh water. If we consider this fresh water as 100%, in that 79% water, it is in the form of ice caps and glaciers, so which is melting day by day and which is going to add in the sea water, so which is not of our use. Next, 29% it is in the form of groundwater. That means we have to dig a bore well or a well for extracting that water. What is remaining? Accessible surface fresh water, that is 1%. So you can see all water, in that all water 3% is fresh water. In that fresh water there is 1% available or accessible surface water. In that 52% water, it is in the form of lakes. Then water within living organism is 1%. Then rivers, it is 1%. Then water vapors 8% and soil moisture 38%. So we are having only 1% water available for drinking purpose and all our other needs. So you can see here from 80%, that is 100%, 3%, in the 3%, again 1% and again 1%. So that means we are having very less quantity of water for our daily needs. So these are the sources of water. You can see there are three types of surface. One is rainwater, second is surface water, and third is underground water. So first, rainwater. So it is the purest form of water as we know all. But during passage through, it get mixed with dissolved gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, chlorine, and hydrogen sulfide gas. So rainwater contains mixed gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, chlorine, and hydrogen sulfide. Second is surface water, in that there are three types again: river water, lake water, and sea water. So river water contains impurities like clay, dissolved salts, dissolved gases, and organic matter derived from plants and animals. So river water is containing impurities that are dissolved impurities. So next is lake water. So it is the impure form of water as it contains high percentage of dissolved salts and organic matter. Means it is containing higher percentage than river water. So it is impure form as compared to river water and as compared to rainwater. Next is seawater. So as we know, sea is containing high concentration of impurities. It contains more amount of dissolved salt and organic matter as compared to river water. So as we know that seawater is containing large amount of salts, that is dissolved salt, and which we are using, or seawater is used to create or to generate NaCl. So that is saline water, that is also called as seawater. So that is surface water. Next is underground water. So some part of rainwater percolates in the soil. During percolation, number of mineral salts dissolved in it. Thus, it contains large amount of salts, dissolved salts. This water is free from organic matter, and sources of underground water is wells, bore wells, and spring. So as some part of the rainwater percolates through the soil, what happens at that time? The gases mixed in the atmosphere get removed during this journey, and mineral salts from the rocks are dissolved in the underground water. So that is the third type of water, that is underground water. Next is types of impurities present in the water. So there are four types. First is suspended impurities, second is colloidal impurities, third is dissolved impurities, fourth is biological impurities. So first, suspended impurities, the constituents are clay, mud, and organic matter, which can be removed by, so this is the method of removal. So that can be removed by simply filtration or sedimentation or settlement. So suspended impurities and colloidal impurities, the constituents are same. You can see here is clay, mud, and organic matter. Similarly, colloidal impurities constituents are clay, mud, and organic matter. But the only difference is the size difference. So suspended impurities is having size greater than 1000 angstrom. So if the impurity size is greater than 1000 angstrom, it is called as suspended impurities that can be removed on filter paper after filtration. And if the size is between 10 to 1000 angstrom, that is colloidal impurities. So suspended impurities can be removed by filtration, sedimentation, and settlement. For colloidal impurities, we require coagulating agents like aluminum sulfate, potassium, and sodium aluminate. So that will react with the colloidal impurities and form precipitate, and after coagulation we have to do filtration. So there is only difference of size and removal method. Next is dissolved impurities. As I said, the rainwater, during the journey some gases are mixed in the rainwater, that is carbon dioxide, chlorides, chlorine gas, hydrogen disulfide, then SOx and NOx. SOx means what? Sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. NOx means what? Nitrous oxide and nitrogen dioxide. So that are the dissolved gases that can be removed by simply warming the water. Then next, dissolved salts like bicarbonate, sulfates, chlorides, nitrates of calcium, magnesium, iron, aluminum, sodium and potassium. So these are the dissolved gases which are mixed during the passage through air, and these are the salts mixed when the water percolates through the soil surface, and that minerals get mixed with the water from the rocks. So that can be removed by the chemical treatments that we are going to see later on in this unit. So last type of impurity is biological impurities. So biological impurities constituents are bacteria, algae, fungi and small size aquatic animals. So that can be removed by sterilization. So sterilization means sorry sterilization means killing the microorganism present in the water. So that can be done by using liquid chlorine, ozone, UV light, sodium hypochlorite or bleaching powder. So these are the impurities present in the water. So one is suspended impurities that can be removed by sedimentation, filtration or settlement. Colloidal impurities can be removed by coagulation followed by filtration. Dissolved impurities, there are two types. Dissolved gases can be removed by warming and dissolved salts can be removed by chemical treatment. Biological impurities are there like bacteria, algae, fungi and small size aquatic animals that can be removed by sterilization. So that are the types of impurities present in the water. The next part is causes of hardness. So how that hardness is caused. So first, as I said, dissolution of minerals. So this is third time. So as rainwater percolates through soil, the minerals from the rocks get mixed with the water, that is of sodium, lithium and calcium, which are non-hardness causing salts. So that are get mixed from the rocks. So that is one reason, or that is one cause of hardness. Second is action of dissolved CO2. So you can see as water comes from clouds to the earth surface, it get mixed with the carbon dioxide. So it is forming carbonic acid. Then that carbonic acid is dissolving this insoluble carbonate and converting it into soluble bicarbonate. So we are having problem with this because this is soluble in water, this is soluble in water, this is also soluble in water. If it is soluble or dissolved in water, then it is difficult to remove and that is causing hardness. So if it is insoluble like calcium carbonate or ferrous sulfide, that can be removed by simply filtration. So you can see here this carbonic acid is dissolving or reacting with magnesium carbonate to give soluble magnesium bicarbonate. So these are hardness causing salts. And last is action of oxygen. So this is ferrous sulfide which will react with water, and in the water dissolved oxygen is present, so that will convert this ferrous sulfide which is insoluble in water to ferrous sulfate which is soluble in water plus H2SO4. So we are having problem with this and this. So these are the causes of hardness. First is dissolution of minerals, then action of CO2, then action of O2. So we are having problem with dissolved hardness. We are not having problem with insoluble salts. Insoluble salts can be removed by simply filtration. So that's it from today's lecture. Thank you.